The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a Chronicle sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
All right, beautiful sunny day here in Southern California, not on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. In studio, the master of the half-baked ideas from the show Sports Nation on ESPN2, Kevin Wilds. What's happening?
Bill, can I get a nickname like Jacoby has the Czar?
The Czar?
Jacoby's got the Czar, and people on Twitter refer him as the Czar, and people come in and like, hey, you're the Czar. And I don't really have anything. Like, yeah, that half-baked ideas guy. Doesn't really roll off the tongue.
So you don't want to be called half-baked?
I think I ran into issues with Chappelle's lawyer.
All right, I'll work on that. Maybe the readers will have some suggestions. Okay. In my column today, which you have not read since you have a day job.
I skimmed it.
Well, you work all day. I'm not going to take it personally. You get your reading done at night.
Yeah.
I had an idea that I posted in the column that people got a little excited about. So I created this Twitter account called Celtics Chants. And I had this idea on Friday that it would be cool if somebody was tweeting instructions for, ad-lib chants, basically, that you would only figure out as the game was going on, like, oh, this would be a great moment to do this. And if everybody had signed up for the Twitter account and the tweets were going directly to their phone by text, which some people do, I don't understand why anyone would do that. But in this case, I wouldn't violate it. I would only text you during the games.
Sure.
And if you had maybe, I don't know, best case scenario, 500 people were following, worst case scenario, 100. Mm-hmm. And there's some sort of chant like, you are leaving for LeBron. Or Knickerbockers, as he's at the foul line. That tweet gets sent out. Everybody's like, oh, let's start the chant. Oh, we'll do this. And they start chanting, and the whole arena is going. Does this work?
Yes. How do chants usually get started? Just one loud guy.
Yeah.
So you're just sort of adding a technological bent to it.
It's kind of like the power of Twitter personified, I think. The ability of somebody 3,000 miles away to reach people instantaneously who are, at a sporting event or whatever.
So you wrote, now accepting ideas for chant number 1.
Yes, which I'm leaning toward New York Knicks being the first chant for LeBron as he gets to the foul line. I just think that gets in his head a little bit. He's like, ooh, this is awkward. I hope my teammates don't hear this. Oh, crap, they're chanting New York Knicks, and I'm about to sign there. I wish they weren't chanting that. It's got to do something to him mentally.
Yeah. How many chants would you be thinking per game?
I think you maybe do 4 or 5.
And he's at the foul line. You tweet, chant New York Knicks.
Well, I think what I'm going to do is tomorrow, even before the game, chant out like, look, when LeBron gets fouled for the first time, here's the chant that we'll do. And hopefully that will get going. And like another one, you're going to leave, you're going to leave, you're going to leave, you're going to leave. That would be pretty good if the whole stadium was doing that.
Are you going to check the cadence on them? Like, you're going to leave. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
New York Knicks. Not bad.
Knickerbockers, clap, 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 clap. Knickerbockers. You could do that. You're a faker is a good one.
Ooh. Directly at his elbow. That hurts his feelings.
Yeah, but some other fans have pointed out that since we root for a team that has Paul Pierce on it, maybe a pot calling the kettle black moment.
Someone that gets carried off in a wheelchair.
Yeah, and then comes back 5 minutes later. Maybe we shouldn't be throwing stones.
I like that sort of drama.
Me too.
It's all a TV show.
Me too. I like it as well. So anyway, we're accepting chants. The best idea I've gotten, I think I may have written about this, but during like a timeout, they cut out all the music and all that stuff, and LeBron is going to be coming out of the timeout and shooting free throws. The entire stadium is singing New York, New York by Frank Sinatra.
Well, that's good. Get the house DJ in on it.
Yeah. He starts it out with a little dun, 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 and the crowd just starts singing. Now, it's kind of dirty pool, but at the same time...
No, let it happen.
Yeah.
What are the limits of how much a in-house DJ can play during a game? Does the NBA limit that?
It's a good question. I don't know. I'm sure they're jerks about it.
You hear I watch some games that this DJ is going nuts. Tell him to be quiet, and other times others are more quiet.
Now, what if Anderson Varejão's at the line and I tweet that we do a Sideshow Bob chant?
What's the Sideshow Bob chant?
Well, he's got this.
Oh, just chant Sideshow Bob. It's not from the show. Some theme song.
You chant Sideshow Bob. How about a Precious chant for Shaq?
Okay.
Is that too harsh?
I think that hurts Precious. That hurts, and she's been through so much.
Kobe? How about chanting Gilbert for Shaq?
What? I'm lost. What's Gilbert?
Well, there was always the rumors, as you know, they've talked about repeatedly on Basketball Wives, that Shaq may have had a few dalliances with Gilbert's fiance.
Yeah, but Shaq's the winner there. That hurts Gilbert's feelings, doesn't it? Didn't Shaq swoop in and take Gilbert's baby mom?
Allegedly.
I don't think that hurts his feelings.
Yeah, maybe not.
That might be a confidence booster.
Kobe owns you. I don't know what the Shaq chant would be. You're washed up.
Something Superman. I know. Superman stuff hurts his feelings.
Yeah. Well, anyway, everybody has. You still have about. Well, now people will be hearing this on Wednesday. So you have more than 24 hours to send suggestions. Sign up for Celtics chants, and we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to work, but you just never know with this stuff.
Are you getting who's announcing? Are you getting Mike Breen involved at all?
That would be interesting. I don't know who's doing the game tomorrow. I think it's TNT, unfortunately. Probably not willing to help us out. But so that was my half-baked idea, which people already knew about. But you usually come to the podcast with 3. These are half-baked ideas. They're not fully baked.
Right
they're
now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and they're all pretty bad. They're all more half-baked than ever. But this one, I've talked to the girlfriend about this one, and I don't know how we got to it. But I really think this will work, and I think that you will love it.
Okay.
And the genesis of the idea, well, I'll name the idea. I just wrote down on my little yellow piece of paper, Smelly basketball player. And I think this was originated when I was reading articles about how good of a job Artest was guarding Durant and how he's in his face and he was really annoying him. And then combine that with the podcast that you did with McHale when there was it Bill Lambier that was stepping on McHale's foot?
Rick Mahorn, yeah.
Rick Mahorn, okay. So that's a little bit of a dirty thing. And then Bruce Bowen was up in the newsroom, and we were just talking defense and how he would smother people. And then me personally, that when I play basketball, I'm a stinky dude. Some people are just sweaty. I don't really sweat a lot, but I probably stink more than the average person. I'm probably in the 51 percentile and up of smelliness in basketball. So since the playoffs are so heated and everyone's looking for that little bit of an edge, what would you think about, and taking people out of their comfort zone, and Artest is the guy to do this. Artest doesn't shower until he plays the Suns. So I think I don't know if we hear this tomorrow, 6 days away, 7 days away. And he
just gets nice and ripe.
I mean, and he just reeks like homeless guy clearing out a subway car reeks.
Yeah.
To the point that you can't really be around this guy. It affects every time you have the ball. You've got stinky Artest. There's no rule against there.
No.
And you would just be the stinkiest person. I mean, really, really, really bad. Corpse stink.
Yep.
And you're guarding, who's he slated to guard in the Sun series?
That's it. He's not going to have a huge impact in the Sun series unless they put him on Amari, which I don't think they would do.
No.
He could guard Jason Richardson, but
sure.
It's kind of a bad matchup for him.
Okay. Well,
for what he does, it's not a great matchup.
Well, let's say you want to take Amari out of the game.
Yeah.
So whoever's guarding Amari, he's like Phil Jackson goes over there and says, don't shower. Don't shower and wear these same old clothes. You always hear a little bit about, he wore the same baseball hat to 20 games in a row, and this guy Evan Longoria doesn't change his socks, but he gets them washed.
Yeah.
Just pure stink. That's the idea. Thoughts?
I have a few thoughts. Number one, when I was covering the 1996 South Boston High School team for the Boston Herald, they played a team, it was like Dedham or somebody, West Roxbury, I can't remember who. And the team had a guy who completely stunk, who was their power forward.
Stunk, you mean, or just for the listeners, stunk as a basketball player or stunk nose-wise?
He had horrendous BO.
Okay, there we go.
And he ended up with like 20 points and 18 rebounds. And after the game, and they'd won, and this was in the tournament. Mm-hmm. So it was like, win or go home. And after the game, the guys were not talking about winning or advancing, all that. All they could talk about was this guy's BO and how bad it was. And every time I had to box him out, I was dying. And just, he'd leave an area and you could still smell him. And it was just an hour of conversation afterwards.
It gets in people's heads.
Yeah. And it was like all of them had a headache. So, yeah. Now, here's the problem.
Go.
The guy is also going to be affecting everybody on his team. And if anything, it's going to have a bigger effect on the people on his team because he's sitting next to them on the bench. They're right next to him. They're trapped next to him.
Thought about that.
I don't know how you solve that dilemma.
Well, you can also, the other part of the idea is that you can use it as an offensive player. I thought maybe if you don't use it as defense, suppose Kobe did it, and Kobe just needs a little bit of separation. And I think naturally if Kobe stank, he would have an extra, he only needs a few inches. That's the difference between good defense and great defense. And the other Lakers could wear that detective stuff that they put on their upper lip that you always see in the shows.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
See, I would think it would work more for Gasol because if you're a low post player and you're posting up, the guy behind you has to stand right behind you, basically put his chest into your back and hold his position. And then fight you to get the ball and front you, and he's just, and then the rebound goes up, and you're boxing each other out. That's where you're just dealing with the guy constantly on both ends.
I'm not going to say it's a 20-point swing, but maybe it's a 2-point swing. It certainly would add something.
Well, supposedly, the story, the urban legend, and I'm not sure it was an urban legend, was that Iverson had bad BO all the time.
Really?
And that it was one of the effective things about his game was that he stank.
I've never heard that urban. Are you willing to call it an urban legend or no? It hasn't made it to urban legend status.
It's a little better than an urban legend. It kind of makes sense. I mean, from what we know about the guy, he peed in plants and casinos and was out for 22 hours. I'm not sure showering was on the top of his priority list.
Well, they make it such a big deal of noise level. Like, oh, the Colts have the noisiest stadium, and the Saints, you can't go in there because it's so noisy. And we'll do whole segments on how noisy it is. But how come I can't see a stink meter? How much do the Celtics stink? They're one of the stinkiest teams in the league. They're tough to play.
Well, there's somebody, you could go this route too. There's somebody, I'm not going to say his name because I feel bad.
Oh, no.
A guy in the early 90s who was a successful playoff player apparently had dragon breath.
You're not going to say this person's name?
I'm not going to say the name.
Breath?
In
the early 90s?
Well, people could guess. People will drive them crazy. Like, God, I wish I knew who Simmons was talking about, the dragon breath. But somebody had dragon breath in the early 90s and had a couple huge playoffs, and allegedly the breath was so bad you could see it. And then that would be an easier thing to get going, I think, than BO, because you could have clams and not brush your teeth and have halitosis, and it would just be a nightmare.
And when you talk trash, there's an easier joke there. I'm missing Joe Mead. But then that's how you got the point across? Is it Reggie Miller?
I'm not going to say.
Reggie Miller stinks?
See, that would have come up in winning time if he had bad breath. John Starks.
That's why John Starks headbutted. He was trying to headbutt his mouth. Shut your mouth.
So tired of his breath that he just headbutted him. Yeah, so I do think odor could be some sort of. Now, what would happen if the entire team decided not to shower as some sort of strategic play?
I think that would be a great move. That would solve the problem of you affecting your own teammates, friendly fire, stink fire. And then there's also a camaraderie effect. Like how Jared Dudley talked about, they all went to the movies and saw Iron Man, and if we think that really helps, try not showering for a month.
Yeah. Well, next time I have Dudley on, I'm going to ask him if he thinks this would work. I think you're better off having the whole team do it, because then it's not affecting guys on the bench. Everybody stinks.
I think it's great. And there's a point where, never mind Celtics chants, Celtics stink. Have everyone in the whole arena stink. And it's just the worst, wretched place in the world. You guarantee a win.
Where do you stand on, like have you ever been to France or been around French people.
No,
Like, the whole myth that French people stink, it's not a myth. They smell. They don't smell
really?
good. Yeah,
I've never been to.
They're not.
I've never been to France. I've been with around some French people, and they didn't stink. They smell like.
They're fragrant.
Toilet.
They're fragrant. You know, back in the, if you read about Napoleon, when he would tell his lady,
Yeah.
that he was coming back from whatever war they're doing, he would tell her not to shower for a while. Like it was a big thing for the French, for the girls to get as stinky as possible.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Is that where cologne originated? Where's cologne?
That
Joe
part
Mead.
I don't know. If Joe Mead was alive, he'd be Googling and helping us out right now.
Joe Mead has been just
I'll look
looking
into
at me
it.
blankly.
Just Joe Mead, Google French body odor and see what comes up.
See how many
Would be
hits you have, and then just start reading them off.
Now, where do you stand? Like, have you ever been like at a coffee house, like, you know, working on something, or maybe getting some breakfast, and the waitress leans over. She's cute, but you get a whiff of the BO. Attracted or not attracted?
No, not attractive at all. Not attractive at all. In fact, I have the opposite problem. That this was like my original half-baked idea. I remember the first time you get cologne in magazines. You're like 10 or 12. I remember I like the smell of cologne more than I like the smell of perfume. That makes sense, of course, right?
So you have your woman wear cologne? Is that what you're telling us?
I don't, but she probably should. And if she has a perfume that she likes, we should probably just switch bottles.
You know what's interesting about this subject is that I'm sure this is something that players in various sports have discussed 100 million hours more than the average person has discussed it. I'm sure it has a much bigger effect than we realize. It's something that's just never come up.
Yeah.
Like if we brought in a player, like say Marcellus Wiley just was trying, we pulled Marcellus and we're like, hey Marcellus, tell us a BO story. I bet he'd have like 10.
And he'd say, oh, you didn't want to play that guy, or you wouldn't try your hardest, and I sacked this one guy because he stank so bad. The only problem is maybe to extra motivate you. Marcellus always has some little trick. Whenever you talk to Marcellus, whenever I talk to Marcellus, I just realize I know nothing. I know so little about sports. It's really frustrating.
Well, that's why people who didn't play or coach you can only talk about football to some degree.
Marcellus told me a story about a player in the news. We're like, oh, okay, I've got that wrong. 100% wrong. I'm not going to tell you now. I think he's saving it.
He's saving that one?
I don't know. He said, hey, here's what's happening. I said, really? That's what's happening? He said, yeah. No.
Half-baked idea number one, strong start. What do we got for number two?
Thanks, buddy. So this is a spin-off on this. Can you explain? There's so much talk about home court advantage. Can you explain all the elements of home court advantage? If I'm brand new to sports, I say, oh, you're the sports guy. I keep on hearing about home court advantage. What makes home court advantage?
You're sleeping at your own place.
You think that's the big one?
I would say that's number one.
Okay.
I think athletes are big on routines. Mm-hmm. And when you play home, you're in a routine. You're in your bed. You're in your shower. You're eating food out of your fridge. You're seeing you're not living out of a hotel. You're not riding an elevator. You're not running into weird people. There's a comfort level. You're in your gym. You're used to the sight lines. You're used to the light. You have the shoot around at the same time every day. You have your fans.
How much do you think the crowd has to do with it? I always hear about you have even your Celtics chant about momentum and crowds and the crowd was up and that was a bad timeout. You took the crowd out of it. I always think it's kind of overrated.
I would say it's overrated, except for I've been to games that I did feel like the crowd just completely annihilated the opposing team. Okay. I mean, definitely in the 80s. It doesn't happen as much now, but I went to Game 6 of the 1986 Finals, and for 15 minutes before the game started, we had already gotten to Ralph Sampson. We're just calling him a sissy and booing and chanting, and you could just see it. He melted down. Hey, there's the phone.
Hey! So that's the Subway Fresh Take hotline.
Yeah. So, and then I went to Atlanta, Orlando last Thursday, which was a close game for 3 quarters, and Atlanta actually seemed like they might care a little bit. And then Orlando started playing well. They went on a little run. The crowd got into it, got really loud. And Atlanta just fell apart. And I do think the crowd makes you a little skittish. You can't hear each other. You get a little more frantic. Mm-hmm. So anyway, why do you ask?
Well, I'm asking because I assume that you think that the refs are affected by the crowd as well, of course, right?
Yep.
don't you think that the refs would be more even? Or if we're admitting that the refs are affected by the crowd and by the momentum, and they're thinking, whether subconsciously or not, if I blow this whistle, 25,000 people are going to boo me, that they blow their whistle less. Is that an established fact or no?
It definitely used to be the case. Nowadays, there's only a couple cities that affect the refs like that. And even like last night, like Utah is always allegedly the scariest place for officials. But last night, the Lakers got a lot of calls, especially down the stretch.
But I think if you hooked up a referee, if you just had a real scientific test, where if you hooked up a referee's heart rate and pulse, and when the crowd was cheering and he started to get excited, that would have an influence on what he saw in his decision making.
I totally believe that.
This is like sort of addressed in the book about police shootings. I don't know what Gladwell book it was, but in pressure situations and how when everything is elevated and people start making bad decisions.
Yeah.
So
I am a firm believer that referees get caught up with a good crowd.
Of course, and that's part of the advantage of being at home.
Yeah, because any referee is a human being, and it's fun. And the same thing goes with no-hitters, where,
totally.
In the 8th inning, all of a sudden, you just kind of want to call the third strike so you can make the fist pump and the crowd can go crazy. So people get caught up in it.
Baseball is the worst. You see a close play at Fenway, if it's Yankees-Red Sox, close play at first, and you have the enthusiastic first base umpire, like, yeah, boom, and he punches him out like he's Larry Holmes, like, this dude is putting on a show for these people, and then 35,000 people, yeah! And he's like, yeah, they're cheering for me. I'm Jim. I just made that out. Like, yeah, Jim, you did, but you're kind of screwing the game up.
Right.
So, moral of the story, the idea is to preserve the integrity and neutrality of the referees. Have them watch from either earplugs or those Bose noise cancellations, or just have them watch from isolated boxes at home or far away from the game, not have the refs on the floor, or have them in the floor in like pods where they can't hear the crowd, because we're establishing that that's unfair. Cuban loves this one.
I don't know if I'm down with this one. But how would it work in basketball? Because you can see things in games in person.
Don't start pressing me for the details.
Well, no, but I think it could work in baseball because, first of all, I don't see how we would have humans as home plate umpires anymore when we could just have some sort of computer hieroglyphic system where, the batter leans over the plate and we could just technically create the strike zone. And if the ball touches the strike zone, it's a strike. Why do we need a human to figure that out?
Because baseball is a show. I like that. Baseball is a whole another ball of wax. I like having rubber rules in baseball. Like, that's a strike. That's the strike zone in strike one. But in strike two, the strike zone gets bigger, and then it gets smaller. And then this guy gets taller and smaller. I like that.
Well, see, I think
I don't like it in basketball.
Well, in football, you couldn't use the. Wait, so you're saying in football, every ref would be a replay official, basically?
Yes. Replays come from the booth, and they could come from the league office. We've got HD TVs. The guy could sit in front of 20 screens and just call it there. There's no have you been on the field of a football game? You have no clue what's going on. Granted, I haven't been really in the mix of things, but you have a good idea at home of what's a foul and what's not. And you're watching basketball, and we've watched basketball like, oh, that's a dumb call, and everyone knows it's a dumb call except the ref because he's there caught up in the moment. He's too close to it. He needs to be separated like everyone else.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'll need to think about that one for. That's a good half-baked one. That might just stay half-baked.
They're all half-baked.
Yeah, but that one, that might be one of the souffles that you just throw in the garbage.
Like, hey guys, it's not. There's two kinds. There's either cookie dough where it's like, oh, this is perfectly unbaked, or just a half-flake souffle that you just quote throw in the garbage.
Crap! It never rose. Throw that out. Let's start again.
Gladwell wrote about this so much more eloquently.
Back to the baseball umpires for a second. Mm-hmm. I've been trying to think of ways they could speed baseball up because it's getting to the point now where I am watching
brutal
NBA playoff games that don't have the Celtics in them over a Red Sox-Yankee game where the Red Sox are trying to prevent a sweep. And the game is going so slowly that I just don't care. And I really don't care if we win.
Okay, let's hear it.
It takes 4 hours. And who has time to... First of all, that's a lot of time to spend with any announcers. You spend 4 straight hours with John Miller and Joe Morgan. If you, me, and Jacoby spent 4 hours together, we'd be tired of each other.
I can take about 2 hours worth of Jacoby.
Yeah.
And then that's it. We start fighting.
Yeah. Well, you guys are natural enemies.
Yes.
But it's just a long time to spend. So if you're going to have a 4-hour game, then you got to change the announcers.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. You have to have 2 more announcers that come in.
Just come in.
I can't spend 4 hours with the same guys.
The Mariano of announcers. Here he comes. Plays Enter Sandman. Oh, it's Costas.
Or it has to be a 3-man booth. You can't just have 2. Like, if any sport needs a 3-man booth all the time in every game, it has to be baseball.
So you're not even about changing the length of the game. You're more concerned with the experience of the game.
No. I'm saying if we're just not going to do anything about this, then let's look at some real solutions for making these games more entertaining. And, another thing they could do is change the way that these guys interact. So there's this weird way that announcers converse about baseball that has no correlation with any other human interactions you'd ever hear.
Like, wow.
The jokes aren't funny. Like, wow, he's batting 2 for 3 today. Bet his wife won't be happy about that, Kevin. And, it's like these weird deadpan, non-humor jokes. And
I like that.
And they say these things like, Jacko and I were talking about yesterday, like when McCarver talks about Mark Teixeira is the best right-handed first baseman he's seen. And it's like, I almost want the other guy to be like, really? Like, what's the list? Who is he competing? Like, you want the guys to argue, but they never argue. You're not allowed to argue when you're doing a baseball game because it's supposed to be Vince Scully, like very low-key. And, we're doing a baseball game. And, here comes this guy. Hey. And, my wife, when we used to drive from Boston to Connecticut, we would time the drive at night because the baseball games would make her fall asleep. She liked the rhythm of them and the way the guys talk.
Baseball on the radio is far better than baseball on TV.
Yeah, it's more descriptive.
Sure.
But anyway.
So how do you speed it up? I've got one idea. Is it part of my idea list? But no, but this is a fine idea.
Oh, well, we can exchange ideas. Let's have a lottery draft.
All right.
Here's my number 1 pick. I don't think batters should be allowed to leave the batter's box once they go in. You go in, you're in. Mm-hmm. You can't leave. It's almost like make it like a moat, like in an island. You're in the batter's box. You can't get off the moat.
Did you write about this and make it like free throws? Somebody wrote about this. Make it like free throws. When you're up at the line, you're in the line.
Oh, that's interesting.
You're at the line. You can't go anywhere. You can step back a little bit, but you're at the line. Here it comes.
If you watch any game on the MLB Network when they show the old games, the guys stayed in the box. That's been the biggest difference. Now the guys get out, they scratch their balls, they do their bag, they change their gloves, and then they go back in.
Well, there was a big thing. Wasn't it Ricky Henderson? Because everyone used to copy this in Little League. You go back foot in, front foot out. And then when you were ready, you could put front foot in. But you would never leave both feet. Like people just going out doing whole routines. I think that seems like a Nomar thing.
No, the 2 guys when I were growing up, and they used to take heat for it, were Mike Hargrove and Carlton Fisk. And Mike Hargrove's nickname was the human rain delay because every at-bat he would get out and he'd be, oh, my God, look at this guy. Who does this guy think he is? Now everybody does it. We once had a guy named the human rain delay. Now we have an entire league of human rain delays.
Okay. So that's your first draft pick.
Yeah, so you go now.
My first draft pick with the second pick in the speed baseball up draft is limited timeouts. Every other sport has limited timeouts. Baseball needs them as well. Hey, you get 3 timeouts. You want to bring in a relief pitcher? That's 1 timeout. You want to go chat with the guy? That's another timeout. Third baseman just randomly wants to talk to his pitcher? That's the 3rd timeout. It's a wrap. If you use your timeouts, good luck bringing your relief pitcher in, or it's a balk. Guy takes first. Every sport has limited timeouts. Every one, except baseball.
That's pretty good. Well, maybe they should make a rule that the coach can't, like when they have the pitching coach is allowed to jog out and talk to the pitcher.
Get him out of there.
Maybe just eliminate that. Why should no other, like Doc Rivers can't just jog out to talk to Rajon Rondo at the foul line. Oh, hold on. Here comes Doc Rivers. We're going to hold the game for 2 minutes.
Chat.
Yeah, these guys are going to talk. Hold on. Everybody just kind of talk.
Rondo out. Well, he's got to chat with him. Hey, Rondo,
Yeah.
you're going to take a break for 5 minutes. Oh, no, coach.
That's a good rule. I like
play
it.
better, man. No. You had a good game, Rondo.
Good game. Hey, for this next free throw, I want you to think about looking at the front of the rim. All right.
Okay. All right, front of the rim.
Do you want to go snake fashion, or do I get to go?
You can go.
I'm really excited and proud of this idea. I think that they should have lines at like 8 feet to the right of first base, second base, and third base that people can take a lead and they can't go past that line. You just can't go past it till the pitcher releases the ball. We almost gone back to like T-ball rules.
No, give it to me again. I'm lost. There's a line in that you're fundamentally changing baseball at this point.
I'm fundamentally changing it for the better is what I'm doing.
All right, say it again. I'm lost.
Baseball is all about these guys are at first base. It's like, oh, he's taking a lead.
You don't like throwing over to first.
No, I hate throwing over to first. I never want anyone to throw over first. I'm willing to give that up to save 20 minutes of my life with baseball games. I don't want people to throw over first, second, whatever. You just go to the end of the little line, and there's your lead, and that's it.
You can't go past that.
Can't go past the line.
What if no one's holding you on?
Doesn't matter.
You can't go past. That's your line. Why don't you just have to stay on the base then?
No, you can go up to our little 8-foot created base runner line. I'd rather have a base runner line than a 4-hour game.
How does this? I don't know if I'm on board with this one. And how would that speed the game up?
It would speed the game up because now we don't have to go through all the BS of the guy looking over and he's checking the run. Oh, he's looking at the runner back. Just throw the ball. How about this? Throw a pitch.
All right. I don't know.
Joe Meade.
Joe Meade's not liking that one.
Do you like the base runner line?
Yeah. Anything to speed up the game. I want to see Major League Baseball reduce their season in half.
Oh, no.
Play 6-inning games.
Okay. This is just ridiculous.
It's too much.
Look, granted, I'm talking about stinky basketball players, but
I think it's really, really important for baseball to come up with a real time for the amount of the length of these games. Like, I think one of the reasons that soccer is going to gain momentum is because the game is over under 2 hours, and you know it's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
I think hockey's pretty similar unless it goes into overtime, but for the most part, it's structured in a way that it's going to end right around a specific time. NBA can vacillate depending on the timeouts, but baseball, it's like, you don't know if it's going to be a 3-hour and 45-minute night.
All right, I've got my other one. Ready?
Go.
It's a combo.
Mm-hmm.
Too much warming up, so no warming up and no cleaning yourself off. Again, it's more of a timeout. I slide into second. Timeout, I need to stand up and wipe the dirt off. No. You stand up, keep the dirt on you. But the main problem is everything is warming up. There's more warming up in baseball than any other sport. I got to warm up my arm. I got to warm up my bat. Oh, before I bat, I've got to warm up. Hey, guys, we're going to head up for the inning. What do you want to do? Derek Jeter, 15-time All-Star, been playing baseball for 35 years. Let me take a few ground balls just to make sure I still got it.
Yeah.
Make sure the old arm works. Yep, the old Rawlings still got it. Still all the leather things are tied. No.
Yeah, well, that's really a TV timeout, though.
Okay, no TV timeouts.
But, I mean, they need TV
No, play it like soccer.
I have an issue with the length of time it takes to make a pitching change. They could easily fix.
Get rid of it. Or just have the guys pitch the whole darn game. In the 1900s, Bill, when I was growing up, Babe Ruth did it with peanuts and Cracker Jack. He didn't need this steroids.
The manager should, when he leaves the dugout, the guy should already be running it. It shouldn't be a case where the guy, he's almost at the mound, and then he gives the signal. And then they got to tell the reliever, it's like, oh, let me get 2 more pitches in. He throws us 2 more. Then he runs, he does, and then he's got to run like 300 feet.
It's too much.
And then he's got to warm up. Because he's got to get used to that mound. I don't like that either.
Right,
hold on. I think, is it your turn or mine?
I'm out.
You're out?
I'm tapped out, yeah. I just made the game a half hour quicker.
We did cut some time down. Now, there was one other one.
Span the strike zone. That's the big one, isn't it? Because more people are taking pitches post-money.
Oh, the pitchers. You have to throw it within like 14 seconds.
Yeah, isn't there some college that is going to put a shot clock, basically, a pitch clock,
Yeah.
Did you read about that?
Well, you know, the NBA quietly, you have 10 seconds to shoot a free throw. They don't make a big deal of it, but if you wait more than 10 seconds, they actually will call a violation on you. And the guy is kind of quietly, if you look at the refs, he's quietly like banging his hand against his hip because he's counting. And they only do it for guys like Dwight Howard, because Dwight Howard will take like 8-9 seconds to shoot his free throw.
It could be a revolutionary thing. Like you said, that without the shot clock guy, basketball dies. And baseball basically doesn't have this, and that's the one complaint that everyone has across the board, is that baseball is too long. The idea that baseball is the America's pastime, when I think even college football ratings are starting to catch up to baseball.
Yeah.
It's starting to really fall.
Well, when you think about it, all right, so you have the base runner line. You have the guy can't leave the batter's box. You have the pitcher that has 12 seconds per pitch to throw a pitch, and no less. That's a game that suddenly is moving pretty fast.
Here we go.
Right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got caught reading. It's something about the SET at Institute Shot Clock for baseball. You're in on this.
Yeah. Anyway, that would work.
I need a researcher.
Maybe the readers will suggest more ideas, but those are the big ones. The base running line, I'll admit, is controversial. And I also like if the guy presses over it, it's like a foot fault. Like we have the U.S. Open technology, where if he leaves right before the pitch, like they can do instant replay on it, stuff like that.
Oh, I like
that would actually slow things down, though.
No, then just give him the base.
You know, that's another thing, the NBA. So the NBA now is doing this instant replay where they'll stop the game for 3-4 minutes.
Yeah, they're not very good at it.
And yet it won't count as a TV timeout or anything, and that just drags on that game, too. It's stupid. Next half-baked idea.
Oh, did I ever tell? Oh, this is I'll save that one for football season. But I've got a great way to game the instant replays from the booth. You want to hear it real quick or no?
Yeah, let's hear it.
This is not one of my real ideas, though. Whatever, I'll just say it real quick. So, under 2 minutes, reviews come from the booth, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, they have gotten no timeout, so they're going to have to throw the ball to the sidelines and get out of bounds. So basically the middle of the field is open. You give the ball to your running back, he makes a little move, he just goes right up the gut. And then when he's going to get, and the announcers will start saying, oh, what a stupid move, they've got no timeouts. As soon as he's down and he knows he's down, he coughs the ball up on purpose. The other team will get the ball and run it. But then that's controversial. We'll have to go to the booth to check out whether or not he was down.
Oh.
And
so while he fumbles almost on impact.
As soon as the run, let's say it's Brian Westbrook, just because I read a story about him today. So Brian Westbrook, they throw the ball out to him in the flat. Brian Westbrook heads to the middle of the field because no one's there, and everyone's thinking, no way is Brian Westbrook headed to the middle of the field. They've got no timeouts. This game's over. Brian Westbrook is a fool. Oh no. Brian Westbrook gets tackled. As soon as his knee hits the ground, Brian Westbrook knows this. He knows he's down. He coughs the ball up. The other team gets the ball or whatever. When they go back to the booth review, they say, no, Brian Westbrook was actually down. Whoever team he's going to be on, the Eagles keep the ball. How would that not work?
And that would stop the clock. That's interesting.
That would stop the clock.
That reminds me of in video games when I would be down by 3 with a minute and a half to go. Mm-hmm. And you'd intentionally take the offsides penalty and the computer and move the computer all the way to
keep taking.
Yeah, inside of the 30, and there would be the computer glitch where if they're inside the 30, they've got to kick the field goal on fourth down so somebody'd get the ball back. Yeah.
So that's a glitch in the NFL. Solve that one.
That is a glitch. Do you like the idea of the 10-second runoff in the NFL with the penalty in the last minute or so?
What does it explain to me?
Well, it'll be like if you have a penalty, if something bad happens, they run the clock 10 seconds.
Oh, yes. Why is that?
It's unclear. I think because somebody tried the video game trick once.
They
intentionally got an offside penalty to stop the clock.
So they run 10. Have I seen this really affect a game?
It's happened. It's affected it. It'll happen once or twice a year. It'll affect the game. Yeah. That last one didn't totally count as a half-baked idea, did it?
No.
Yeah, that was like a filler. That was like at a restaurant when they bring out the little at a nice restaurant betwing the courses when they bring out that little puff thing and they're like, this is a compliment of our chef. This is egg and crab with the balsamic vinaigrette.
You were like, is this freak? I mean, this is really good. Bill, have you had this? This just, it's from the chef. He just brought it out totally free.
With his compliments.
It's really good. Tell the chef thank you. God, I didn't even know I liked squash.
Should I be upset that PTI had Jared Dudley on today?
Why, you think Jared Dudley's your boyfriend? You can't know. I
kind of feel like it's prison and he's mine.
No.
In the ESPN prison, he's mine. We shower together and stuff. Rydham's like, hey,
he did.
You don't need that Simmons anymore. Come with me. I'll protect you.
You'll call him to do a podcast. Wilbon picks up. What's up? Oh, Tony, is Jared there? What do you need him for?
Rydham's like, hey, Jared, I could be a friend to you in ways that Simmons can't. I reach 1.2 million people. All right, half-baked idea number 3.
All right, half-baked idea number 3 is it's a two-part idea, and it's something that you wrote in your column that I wanted to explore further a few columns ago. The WWE Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Why do you think this hasn't happened yet?
It's inexplicable. I have no answer. I couldn't even begin to guess why it hasn't happened.
It's a great idea, either for Connecticut, where the WWE is based out of Stanford, or you just give it to some sort of depressed urban area as part of their revitalization.
I like Stanford because if you've ever been on the I-95, which I know you have, but some of our listeners have not, you drive by Exit 9, and there's the WWE logo and the big giant WWE
It's a giant
building.
flag, and it's great.
And if you put the Hall of Fame like right next to it, you could kind of see it off the highway. I think
Do you think that's
cool.
too many Hall of Fames for New England, New York? That means 3 major Hall of Fames.
Yeah, but it's WWE's located in Stanford.
Okay, hey, I'll take it. I think it's job creation. It's how many people the WWE Hall of Fame hold or employ? 50 people, 100 people.
But the thing is, if you're smart and you're doing it financially or with some financial intelligence, you'd want to probably put it in Florida or Texas, like a place that you might get some tax breaks.
No, I mean McMahon is no fool, and his wife is running for Senate, right?
Yeah, like I was just in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice place for the WWE Hall of Fame.
One of those Florida cities. Orlando.
No, it's just one of those Florida cities. You go down and you take your cougar wife to the WWE Hall of Fame.
Well, they're not paying taxes regardless. If you say, I'm going to come in and employ 1,000 people, tax breaks for the next 30 years for the WWE Hall of Fame, they're in.
Oh, so you're saying like maybe do it in Detroit?
Well, tax breaks are definitely part of. Yes, tax breaks are definitely part of the game. We're building this thing basically for free. Whether we have federal money, state money, regardless. So you, A, it'll just be awesome. B, you're employing people. C, you're giving wrestlers a nice place to hang out. Oh, it's Jake the Snake Roberts as the greeter. They don't have to do all these horrible little high school
Yeah,
things.
that's true. This is the one Hall of Fame where you might actually get like dozens and dozens of Hall of Fame wrestlers to actually work there.
It gives them something to do. I just saw a horrible video. It was a link off of Dig, and it was called 10 wrestlers who are inexplicably still alive.
Yeah.
And Jake the Snake was one. I love Jake the Snake and Damien for that matter.
Yep.
And I watched this video, and Jake was just, it was so sad. He was hugely fat, and he was like confused, and he was giving up in the ring, and he was outside with his shirt off, and some other dude is like, hey man, I carried your ass in Detroit, Jake. I'm a pro. And I'm like, and then I started to get mad. I'm like, who are you talking to, Jake the Snake Roberts?
You don't talk to Jake that way.
You have put the DDT and put Damien all over you. But Jake is sort of, I don't know where Damien is. He's lost. So before I get all worked up about Jake the Snake works the Coke machine. And it's Jake the Snake in this room.
No, he works the snake pit is where he works.
Sure. Well, it's not. There's an animal exhibit. You have Coco Beware's bird. You got Damien. You've got another animal that they used. The British Bulldog. Give me another one. I'm searching.
I think you ran through them all.
That might be it. There's more than 3 animals.
Well, the best part about this idea is that most of the older wrestlers are dead, so there's only like 25 left anyway. You could have all of them work
Have
there.
them all there. It'd be fantastic. And some of the lesser-known ones could be janitors, and you'd go. It'd be like ESPN The Weekend. We have ESPN The Weekend. People go to Orlando. They send all the shows down there, and they walk around, and they put athletes there. So people are in Disney like, oh, hey, there is Marcellus Wiley, or there's Colin and Michelle went down, like, there's Colin. It's this cool thing. It would be like that 365 days a year. WWE in Detroit. It's a win-win. I can't wait to go to this thing.
I've been to the Basketball Hall of Fame a couple of times, that I get so disappointed by it and the potential by it that I can't go anymore. I've been to Cooperstown. I like it. It's a little over the top.
I like
with how but they get a little over the top with Cooperstown.
I haven't been in a long time.
The whole Field of Dreams thing, they really beat into the ground. I have no desire to go to the Football Hall of Fame or the Hockey Hall of Fame.
No.
If you told me that the WWE Hall of Fame existed wherever, I guarantee I would go.
At least once. You'd have to go.
I'd go once a year, probably.
They could have matches there, too.
Yeah, why not? They should have some sort of something where everything is in one place, all their memorabilia, because Vince owns everything.
Yes, it's a huge win. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that was just somebody's idea, right? Rock and roll, I don't work for Rolling Stone, but I don't think the roots aren't really in Cleveland, are they? Yeah. They just picked Cleveland because Cleveland said, hey, we need something for our city. Joakim Noah keeps making fun of us. How about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Like, we'll take it. We'll build a nice building. And they said, there you go, Cleveland. Now you got LeBron and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, in that case, we should get Seattle. Seattle needs something to replace the Sonics.
No, they don't. They've got Starbucks.
I have a question for you, because you triggered my memory with something that I almost put in my column, and then I thought, I don't know. I don't know why I took it out, but I took it out. So I had this whole thing in the column about how Orlando's O-Arena, so they're building this new state-of-the-art next year, and the O-Arena is for sale for $90 million, which I did put in the column. I was thinking, like, if I was running ESPN, and don't rule it out, if I was running ESPN someday and we make $2.5 billion a year, imagine if, I'm not saying it would be me, but imagine if somebody was like, you know what, I want to buy the O-Arena.
Are you just talking about the building or what's for sale? I'm lost.
The arena.
Just the arena.
Yeah, the arena and the parking land around it.
Okay.
So let's say, like, the guy running ESPN right now, John Skipper, goes a little Steinbrenner.
Great.
And all of a sudden, his ego gets out of control. And he's like, I'm going to start buying stuff. And he sees the O-Arena. He's like, I'm going to buy the O-Arena. I'm going to make it the ESPN Dome. And people are like, well, John, what are you going to do with it? I don't know. I want it.
Okay.
Like, he's in that mode.
Mm-hmm.
What would we do if we rename the O-Arena the ESPN Dome? What would be in it? What would happen in the ESPN Dome? I feel like we could get our money's worth out of the ESPN Dome.
For $90 million?
Well, let's say, like, we have Sports Nation there for a week. How much would that pay off?
Not much. We do it out of the size of a high school gym.
Damn, you're probably right. It's a terrible idea.
Well, didn't you go to tell the story? You went to Dancing with the Stars, right? Or what'd you go to? American Idol? You told me the story.
Yeah,
and
it's
how
like
small it is.
It's like 600 people.
So we don't need 25,000 people.
All right, well, this raises my next question, and this is why I ended up not putting it in the column, because I was trying to think, like, why would anybody buy the Arena for $90 million? Who is the suitor for that?
I don't know. Well, that was the thing about the Silver Dome. Didn't the Silver Dome sell for like $75?
Yeah, no, it was for like $500,000, and the person that bought it, I think, is just going to knock it down.
Because what am I supposed to do with the Silver Dome? Well, you certainly can do something. What, bachelor parties? But other than that, I have no clue.
So you don't think? All right, let's flip this around. So ESPN builds the ESPN Dome in Hartford. I think I've even mentioned this idea in a podcast.
All right. Okay, go ahead.
What
do we put in there? I have no clue.
They build a state-of-the-art, like 15,000-seat arena. Mm-hmm. They call it the ESPN Center or the ESPN Arena, or I don't know. So some clever plan thing, and we go and we try to get a hockey team. We try to bring the Whalers back. Okay. We try to get concerts. People go, and there's just ESPN everywhere. It's kind of not a bad thing for ESPN to have, I would say.
I don't know. I don't know the financial.
We could have the NIT. We buy the NIT. Now we put the NIT in the ESPN Dome.
But I think so we want the rights to it or just somewhere to play. I don't think the building really matters because you can go in and rent the building pretty cheap.
Yeah, you're probably
I don't think we need the building. Then I don't know. That idea is down with my referee earplugs.
Oh, that was a souffle idea?
Well, but my idea was referee earplugs cost $4. You just spent $90 million. Got an empty arena. Skipper's on the hook.
I got to be honest. I don't think people are buying the arena. I think the arena is going to be on the block.
How low does it have to go? So you take a shot at it.
Well, is there somebody sitting there right now going,
the arena's for sale?
Well, no, somebody it's 90 now, but I think that's going to dip to 60, and when it does, I'm stepping in.
But get that arena on the cheap.
Got to get the arena.
Arena Sports, I just Googled it. Arena Sports Bar in Orlando.
Because the problem is they've built another state-of-the-art arena that's better than the arena in every way, and it's in the same city. So you're basically buying the number 2 arena in a town that is not like a top 25 size sports city. So what do you do with it then?
I don't really understand stadiums, how much they make, why you tear them down.
Well, I think insurance is one of the big things too.
How so?
Well, you have to pay a lot of insurance for terrorism insurance, and, natural disaster insurance and fan insurance, like if somebody falls from the aisle and all that stuff.
The old slip and fall.
I don't know how we started talking about this. Oh, WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I'm down with it.
All right.
I don't know where it would be located, though, but it does feel like it should be in Stanford.
I would say, yeah. Well, I'll take Connecticut. I'll take anywhere. I think it's a no-brainer. And then my other idea based off of that was, since the WWE owns all of their character names, correct?
Yep.
Like when Hulk Hogan or excuse me, Terry, what's his name? What's the Hulkster's real name?
Terry Bollea.
Yes, when Terry Bollea went to, what do you go to, TNT, whatever the other, and he became Hollywood Hogan, that's because Hulk Hogan was actually owned by Vince. Then he came back and he got to be Hulk Hogan again. So, the idea is that, similar to James Bond, like, oh, okay, you're James Bond now you're out, now this other guy's James Bond. Same with Hulk Hogan. I was going through and researching all of these wrestlers when I was looking at my WWE Hall of Fame. Need new Junkyard Dog. Guess what? There's a new Junkyard Dog. Here he is. Just like James Bond.
See, this tells me that you don't follow wrestling that intently.
No.
Because this happened.
With
Vince
who?
McMahon did this in 1996.
With Kamala?
It's scary that I can throw out dates like this.
Go ahead.
Kevin Nash and Razor Ramon, Scott Hall.
Yes.
So Kevin Nash was Diesel, and Razor Ramon was Scott Hall.
Was Diesel Big Papa Pump? Was that who that was?
It was another one.
I'm sorry. All these wrestling guys are going to get mad at me now.
Nash and Hall leave to go to the WCW.
Okay.
They start wrestling there. WWE, they promote, well, it's WWF then, but they promote like, hey, Diesel and Razor Ramon coming back tonight on Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
Oh my God, how's this going to happen? And it was just 2 imposters who kind of looked like them and did the same characters.
All right.
People went absolutely ballistic.
Well, it
was like the maddest anybody's ever been at wrestling.
But all right.
They couldn't believe that Vince did this. They hated the imposters, and it didn't last very long.
So when Pierce Brosnan, no one's mad at Pierce Brosnan and accusing him of not being Sean Connery. Because if you set it up correctly, like, hey, we've got a brand new Junkyard Dog. He's coming back. New Junkyard Dog. James Bond makes no sense. It's like, hold on, aren't you 100 years old? No, we don't. It's just a willing suspension of disbelief. I don't believe that this person really lives in a junkyard. I'll take that you got another guy who swings a chain.
I always thought he lived in a junkyard. He didn't live in a junkyard?
Who swings a chain around. Hillbilly Jim is not a true hillbilly. His guy's got a suit and tie at home. He just likes to wear his overalls. If you set it up correctly, I'm in. Because wrestling is too far out there for me now. I just want some of the old characters back. That's the idea. I can't believe you're out on that one. That is a no-brainer.
I wasn't out on it. I'm just telling you, it almost caused a riot when they tried it.
That's because they executed it poorly. You can't announce that someone's coming back and trick them. You have to say, this is the new James Bond. Here we are. You launch a whole new thing. They've got the new A-Team, but I'm not going to be mad when George Papard is not in the movie.
in the early 90s, the Ultimate Warrior disappeared for a little bit, and he came back. And everybody thought it was a different Ultimate Warrior because he looked so different. He was like a lot smaller.
I thought it was a different Ultimate. There was always a thing like, is the Ultimate Warrior dead?
Yeah, but as it turned out, it wasn't. It was just an Ultimate Warrior that wasn't doing, 55 different chemical things that nobody really could understand at the time. This is the pre-Barry Bonds era.
That's
so we're like, oh, it has to be a different person. He's much smaller. Like nobody had any idea that your body would shrink when you stopped doing stuff. So, but that was another thing. And supposedly they've had, especially like with wrestlers that wear masks, supposedly they've taken some liberties.
Yeah.
Like Demolition, they took some liberties, I think.
They took some liberties with Demolition. Old Axe and Smash.
Yeah, they might have been a fan of Smash a couple times.
Lord knows what was up with the Killer Bee. The Killer Bee.
Well, that's one of the things that's really changed about wrestling is that the tag team gimmicks are almost out the window. I used to love the tag team gimmicks. I liked when they wore matching shorts and
of course
had some sort of like the Killer Bees. Like what a stupid gimmick that is. We'll call each other the Killer Bees.
They were great. They would slide under the ring like, oh no, it's the other Killer Bee, and they would always get confused.
Yeah.
I once wrote a letter to WWF. I wrote a letter when I was little to WWF. Asking them, or just I had the idea, like, you need 2 referees because the one referee is always being compromised. I actually wrote this letter when I was a kid. Like, listen, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the one referee, I mean, the whole thing is getting ruined.
It is funny. I've been watching wrestling since like 1979, and it's like the same 5 tricks. Okay, I was watching WrestleMania, and these tag team partners. Then they had a bitter falling out. Yeah, they've been doing that for 70 years now. It's almost like soap operas.
I read your live diary.
Yeah.
And it was great. I didn't know any of the guys. Like,
it doesn't matter.
This old trick. Oh, they knocked the ref out.
Oh, it's a Spanish announcer's table. Look out.
Be careful. That they have live mics on it.
Yeah. Pretty good. All right. Kevin Wildes. Sports Nation, big week next week for you.
Why?
ESPN Upfronts.
Oh, yes. That is a big week.
They're gearing the whole ESPN Upfronts around Sports Nation.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's a sign that the show has gained some respect and accord.
Yeah, people like it. Once we move into the arena, we'll be much better off. But we're doing okay right now.
Well, when you have 15,000 fans in the arena,
place will be jumping for their virtual polls.
People pressing buttons like "Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?" but voting right away. It'll be fantastic.
Oh, love it.
What happened when Beetle was out?
Oh, Beetle was sick.
But you know what, though? When you have a situation like that, just some friendly advice.
Go ahead.
I would put like one of those breaking news type things in the bottom of the screen.
Beetle sick?
Yeah, Beetle sick. Because you have people who are really genuinely in love with Beetle. Believe me, I was getting the emails after our podcast.
I saw you forwarded me some.
Yeah. There's people out there who are in a one-sided relationship with her. I'll put it that way.
She's very lovable.
She's a big part of their days, and they click on Sports Nation expecting to see her.
And what do you think happens to them?
I just think they're very upset, and they feel betrayed, and they want to know where she went.
All right, if you're mad, please. Well, Beetle's always on Twitter, and you can send her your get well wishes. She's fine right now, but I'm sure she wants to hear from you.
Were you surprised that she was engaged to a professional bull rider?
No, I knew everything.
Oh, you knew that story.
I know everything, forwards and backwards.
Yeah. I might have to get her back on and delve into that some more. I've been thinking about that. It's on the agenda. I need to know more about like falling in love with a bull rider, like that whole thing. How does that happen?
It's an interest. She's a very interesting person. She's
really
got lots of stories. She's got an interest. She's got a little bit of Texas in her, and her mom's Italian, and she went from Texas to New York, and
a hodgepodge of things.
She's great. She's a unique character. That's why we love her.
So you're going to the upfronts, and you're schmoozing the advertisers, doing a little presentation,
shaking hands.
That's good. I'm proud of you. What are you going to wear?
Me? I don't even know if I'm going, to be honest with you.
Oh.
I don't know, because we've got a show that day. So I think either Horowitz is definitely going.
Suit.
There you go. He'll go. Maybe I'll go and say, "Oh, hi, thank you." Yes, whatever we want. We're very advertiser friendly. Whatever you want to come get. We want Subway on board.
Kevin Wildes. Until next time.
Cheers.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.